Hey, what's up everybody? I'm SuperSonicJB, and man, I'm so glad hands were invented. I mean, can you imagine someone driving their car using their teeth? That would suck. I like to imagine that hands were invented around the same time that video games came out. I mean, come on. What else would I use these things for? Now, lately I've been playing a certain Nintendo DS game, and I think that it's... What was that?
Wait, Josh, we have a major issue.
Oh no, what is it?
The city's being attacked by giant robots again. We need your help to stop them, because we have to set up a funny joke for this skit pronto.
Okay, you can count on me. What does that even mean? Insert a real dick comment here.
That wasn't a very nice comment you said on my fashion sense. For real though, we have to stop those giant robots before I forget what my lines are, even though they're shown in the text box below me. Wait, who's Aaron? Thought my name was Mike.
Okay, we'll smash those robots for sure. Stop breaking the fourth wall. Another mean comment only a real dick would say.
Okay, bro. I can tell you've been playing a lot of Sonic Chronicles lately. I mean, how else would you explain the dumb-looking skit going on right now?
Let's just start the review already. Sonic the Hedgehog, one of gaming's most recognizable characters. We all know Sonic is a cartoon hedgehog who runs really fast. But did you know he actually had a human girlfriend at one point? Okay, that has nothing to do with this video. I just thought it was weird. I've been a big fan of Sonic ever since I was a kid, and I played almost every single one of his games. However, there's this one game that I always wanted to play as a kid, but I never had a chance to. And no, it's not Sonic Shuffle. It's Sonic Chronicles of Dark Brotherhood on a Nintendo DS. Now, this wasn't your typical Sonic game, no. This is an over-the-top RPG game where you can play as multiple Sonic characters. This game looked so epic when I saw the trailers as a kid, and oh boy, did I want to get the game. But I never actually did. I don't know, maybe I just kind of lost interest over time, but I kind of forgot about this game's existence in general. I don't think I was missing out on much though, given the fact that this game wasn't received very well by the public. There are plenty of other DS Sonic games that outshined it anyways. Lately I've been reviewing a bunch of spin-off Sonic games, so I thought now would be the perfect time to finally get the game and check it out. So let's check out Sonic Chronicles of Dark Brotherhood. The game starts off by playing an anime-looking cutscene with gameplay sections scattered across it. I mean, hey, no anime-style intro is complete without a character running, right? I wonder what the guy who made this title screen is doing right now. I hope he's the CEO. One thing remains a certainty. At the height of their glory, even they could not have foreseen their fate, or the speed at which it was delivered. Professor Joe Robotnik, Fourth Great Civilization. Okay then, so the game starts off with Sonic and friends fighting Dr. Eggman on his ship. Tails ends up making the ship malfunction, and it falls down, crashing into the earth, and makes a giant explosion, which Sonic and crew barely manage to escape from. Hold on a minute, did they actually just kill Dr. Eggman? Jeez, this game's way darker than I thought. We then fast forward to the present day, where Sonic gets a call from Tails. Now, before we continue, let me just say, I'm actually a big fan of the comic book style art that they use in this opening cutscene. It's too bad the actual gameplay style looks like crap. Chapter 1, Hostile Reception. Sounds like the name of a Criminal Minds episode. So one day, Tails calls Sonic and tells him that Knuckles has gone missing, and so have the Chaos Emeralds. He tells us that a group of criminals called the Marauders took Knuckles, and he wants us to go and find him. Now, at this point in the game, we're actually able to select dialogue options when talking to characters. Some choices will keep the story rolling, others involve asking questions to learn more about certain events, and my favorite ones being when you act like a total dick to someone. This must be where they're keeping Knuckles! Wow, did you come up with that by yourself? I'm so tired, Sonic! I wish someone would help me, even just a little! I have important things to do. I could wake up in the morning and worry about normal things. Birds and flowers and... oh... get over it. This is the best part about this entire game. After talking with Tails for a bit, we finally get to start playing the game. And instantly, we have a problem here. This entire game is played using the touchscreen. Don't get me wrong, I like using the touchscreen DS games, but I really hate it when all you use in a DS game is the frickin' touchscreen. I mean, just look at how many buttons we have on this thing. Yeah, you just want me to do this? There's been other DS games that have done this too, but most of the time, they weren't received very well by fans and critics. You can use the touchscreen to move Sonic, and whenever you approach an obstacle, you can tap on an icon that pops up to get through it. In these hub worlds, you can also pick up rings, collect Chow eggs, more on that later, do some side quests, and fight some enemies. Which brings us on to the next part of the game that I want to talk about, the combat. It sucks. Ever tried to suck on a lemon? Well, this sucks even more than that. But since this game is a turn-based RPG, it plays completely different from any other Sonic game. You can do basic attacks on enemies, you can use power moves, which are special attacks that deal a decent amount of damage, and are pulled off using the touchscreen controls. You can defend, use items, and run away from a fight. Now, at the beginning of the game, you'll most likely use the attacks command, but as you continue playing through the game, you'll have to rely on using power moves. And oh my gosh, do I hate these moves. As you level up, you learn all kinds of different power moves. Each character has their own unique set of moves, but in order to get these moves to connect, you have to tap the touchscreen in the marked areas. Some moves require more than just a simple tap, sometimes you have to trace your stylus across the screen, and sometimes you have to tap in a single spot super quickly. Now all of this might not seem that bad, but it's just so annoying having to constantly do this. Like when you use special moves in most RPGs, you don't have to do a bunch of annoying inputs to get it to work, and if you try out fights only using the attack command, you have a good chance of missing a lot of your attacks. I don't know why, but holy crap, your attacks miss so frequently in this game. It's like flipping a coin with you having a 50-50 shot of actually landing an attack. What's especially weird is that you can clearly see the attack hit the enemy, but it still counts as a miss.
Miss.
Honestly, the best way to end a fight is to use power moves, but it's just so tedious and annoying to have to always do the inputs to pull them off. And every time you use a power move, your power points will get lower and lower, so you have to use items to restore it. It's just such a big headache. Plus, if you fail to do inputs, it will lead to misses, or even worse, the move will fail completely. And these battles just drag on and on for such a long time. Like, the enemies aren't even that tough, the combat is just so slow and time consuming. I could literally paint my entire house before a fight ends in this game. Heck, a lot of times, I just ran away from a fight, so I wouldn't have to waste so much freaking time! But even running away in this game sucks! Running away has your party members running through an auto-scroll section, and you have to tap a character to jump over obstacles to keep your momentum up. If you hit too many things, then you fail to run away and have to continue the fight or try to run away again. I don't even get that much for winning these battles. Just a small amount of XP to level up my characters, and maybe a healing item every once in a while, and you get no money at all for winning a fight, and have to get rings in the hub worlds to purchase stuff at shops. And these shops items aren't even really that good anyways. So as you can clearly tell, the combat in this game sucks. Sure, you get a lot of cool characters to play as, but it doesn't really matter that much when the combat plays so horribly. Also, just so you know, I'm playing this game using a DS emulator because I don't have a 3DS capture card, and I gotta say, using a mouse here instead of just tapping your screen feels really awkward. Plus, for some reason, the emulator crashed a bunch trying to run this game, which apparently happened to other people who emulated this, so maybe this is a sign for me to stop playing, but come on, we gotta keep going. Another thing that kinda sucks about this game is that since you can only have 4 characters in your party at a time, you have to keep characters at your base. But if you're running around and come across an obstacle that requires a certain type of character, like for example, a flying person like Tails, and if they're not in your party, you have to go all the way back to your base and get them back that way. It would have been way better if you could just change your party in the menu screen, but whatever. Now, as I said earlier, there are Chow in this game that you can collect. While exploring the map, you can find Chow eggs in certain locations. Once the Chow hatches, you can equip them to a character, and they can give you little stat buffs to help you in battle. You can't raise your Chows like you did in the adventure games, and the stat buffs that they give you are all randomized, so sometimes you might not even get a good stat buff from a Chow. Though you can reload a save file and keep picking up a Chow until it gives you a good stat buff, which is nice. But really, out of all the games that brought back the Chow feature, why did it have to be this game? Another thing that I want to talk about is the music. Like, what the heck happened here? Sonic games are very well known for killer music, but this game's soundtrack sounds like something a kindergarten teacher would play for their class. A lot of the music is just recycled music from past Sonic games, but with a horrible sounding pitch to it. Like, yeah, I know Bioware made this game and not Sonic Team, but man, they could have at least put a little bit more effort into the music here. And then there's all the horrible sound effects that they have in this game. Some of these sound effects sound like they were ripped straight out of an old school cartoon. I mean, just take a listen to some of these. Like, my gosh, these sound effects are just so bad. At least this sound effect perfectly shows how I feel about this game. Also, yeah, the graphics in this game are just plain awful. The character models look super rough around the edges, the backgrounds look flat and lifeless, and the textures look super pixely. I don't know if that's a word, but screw it. The game also lags a lot, which can be really annoying to deal with. So yeah, as you can clearly see, I'm definitely not a big fan of this game so far. But from here on out, I want to go more into detail about the game's story, because oh boy, does it get weird. Especially when a certain lawsuit happened, but more on that later in the video. After our first fight, we run into Amy, who tells us that she has a boyfriend named Dexter. Wait, are we talking a serial killer or kid with a lab? Also, let's be real here, this boyfriend of hers is definitely not real. I mean, when you ask to meet him, she gives you like a million excuses on why you can't meet him yet. Anyways, Amy joins our party, and she can now be switched to into Hub World and is now a playable character. And we can use her to smash boxes. Because clearly, Sonic the Hedgehog couldn't do that himself. Yeah, you can switch to any of the characters in the Hub World, and they all have specific character traits that you can use to explore new areas. Anyways, we later meet up with Tails and Rouge, and we visit the gun commander from Shadow the Hedgehog.
Damn you!
He tells us a little bit more about the Marauders, and we set out to save Knuckles. We end up traveling to all these Eggman hideouts and fight the exact same battles against the exact same enemies multiple times until we finally make our way to the Mystic Ruins. We're gonna meet everyone's favorite Sonic character, Big the Cat.
Got it!
Big the Cat's okay in this game. I mean, the best thing he can do is walk through poisonous gas, because that's just a thing he can do now. After some even more time-consuming battles and some boring puzzles, we locate Knuckles, who just straight up breaks himself out of jail. But we arrive at literally the exact same time as when he frees himself, so we kinda saved him? Kind of? The Marauders end up moving Angel Island using the power of stuff, and then we run into the not dead Dr. Eggman, who claims he's changed his ways and is no longer evil, which is about as fake as me going outside to touch grass. Ignore what happened in the last video. At this point, I go on an optional side quest to unlock Cream the Rabbit, who is without a doubt the best character in the game. You see, Cream is a support character who can buff your entire party. She can also restore power points to all your party members, including her, which is so helpful. She can also heal and revive your characters. However, the only thing that sucks about her is in order to pull off her moves, it requires you to be perfect with her PAL inputs. If you mess up at all, there is no effect whatsoever. But since we found a Chow that gets PAL movements, we can give it to her and she will never fail us again. Cool, right? Anyways, we end up running into Shadow the Hedgehog, who fights us and runs away like a coward. Eggman also joins our party, and I gotta say, I think Eggman is the funniest character to play as in this game, specifically because of the way he walks. Eventually, we run into Shadow again and fight him in a one-on-one battle, which of course he loses at, and he ends up joining our party. Because it turns out Omega was captured by the Marauders, and since we all share the same goal and want to stop them, we team up. After this, we run into Shade the fanfiction OC, who it turns out is actually an echidna. Yeah, it turns out all the Marauders are echidnas, who are banished from this realm and imprisoned into this place known as a Twilight Cage. And no, I'm not talking about the place in Twilight Princess. Their leader is a guy named Imperator X, whatever dude, who plans to use the Master Emerald to escape the Twilight Cage and take over Sonic's world. Because why not? He's super evil after all. We beat Shade in a fight and then split off into two different teams because the plot wants us to split up. We eventually run into Omega, who joins our party because why not? And we make our way back to Angel Island and fight Imperator X. And even though we beat him in a battle using a cartoon sound effect, he still manages to steal the Master Emerald, and Shade's not a big fan of X trying to conquer the world, so she ends up joining our party. Shade is kind of OP, so having her in your party is pretty helpful. Anyways, X ends up dropping Angel Island on top of Metropolis, and we get to run around the same map, but destroyed, which is pretty cool. Shade even tells us more about the history of the Marauders, and yeah, it is a cool moment and all, but because of that dang lawsuit, none of this really matters at this point. X ends up going back to the Twilight Cage so he can pull anything there into Sonic's world. But thankfully, with the help of Eggman, our heroes make a rocket ship that lets them travel to the Twilight Cage so they can stop X. Eggman stays behind because he's clearly not planning to do anything evil to the world while the heroes are gone. And when we finally enter the Twilight Cage, the game really goes downhill. We go to these new areas and meet some weird alien creatures who are prisoners of X. But we free them all, and they help us during the final sequence of the game. We also go to these areas to collect the 7 Chaos Emeralds to aid us. This entire part of the game is one of the most repetitive sequences I've seen in a Sonic game. Every fight is just copy and pasted, each area is a maze, and they all end the same way with you just getting another Chaos Emerald. Go to the village, talk to the alien thing, they join you to stop X, etc. At this point, I just wanted the game to end. Like, this sequence reminds me of the last season of Sonic X, with the gang going from planet to planet to stop the Matter X, but they made it even worse in this game. Like, the first half of the game wasn't even that bad. Sure, the combat was horrible, but it had some fun moments. But now at this point in the game, I'm like, fuck it. And right before we take on the final boss, we split up into two teams yet again. And we end up fighting some Gizzoids from Sonic Battle because they're somehow connected to the main plot in this game. I don't know, I didn't pay attention during that cutscene. I was too busy not giving a crap. And after a long time, we finally get to fight Ix. He of course tries to get Knuckles to join him, but Knuckles says, "No way, bro." And so the fight is on. And we managed to beat him in no time flat. It's what I wish I could say, because there was only one of our two teams who fought him there, so we ended up fighting him again, but with our other team. And it's literally the exact same battle again. But it's still not over, because then Ix absorbs the power of the Master Emerald and becomes Super Imperator Ix. And Sonic gets the Chaos Emeralds and goes into his super form, and wipes the floor with Ix once and for all. So we defeat Ix and head back home, only to find out that while we were gone, Eggman took over the world, and the game ends on a massive cliffhanger. Now obviously this ending was made to set up a sequel, but this game didn't exactly sell well enough to get one, and the reviews for it weren't exactly the best either. Oh, and there is another reason why, because of a dang lawsuit! You see this guy right here? This is Ken Penders, one of the most hated people in the Sonic fandom. He was a writer and character maker for the Sonic comic books back in the day, who made other Echidna characters known as the Dark Legion, and they looked a bit like the Marauders in Sonic Chronicles. In 2009, Ken Penders filed a copyright claim on all his OCs and sued Sega on the grounds of original character, please do not steal. He kept fighting them in court to the point where the case dragged on for so long that the statute of limitations ended up expiring, and they finally settled on an agreement where characters from Sonic Chronicles and some of the Archie comic characters weren't allowed to be ever used again. This drama in itself is what pretty much killed the entire Sonic Archie comic series. Which, yeah, was starting to go downhill a little bit throughout the years, but it still didn't feel right. At least we got a new, better Sonic comic series nowadays that's more accurate to the games. But still, because of this awful lawsuit happening, it means this game will never get a sequel. I mean, it wasn't very good anyway, so it probably didn't even deserve a sequel. Still though, we never got another Sonic RPG game after this, and honestly, that's such a big disappointment. I'd love to have a new RPG game with multiple playable Sonic characters, but who knows if that'll ever happen again. So in the end, I wasn't really the biggest fan of Sonic Chronicles and Dark Brotherhood. The combat was terrible, the story was boring and bland, and the music and sound effects were absolutely horrible. It could have been so much better if it wasn't just pure touchscreen controls. Yeah, Bioware made this game and not Sonic Team, and wow, did they disappoint us. Oh hey, speaking of Bioware, the game ends with Sonic and Tails talking about them. I mean, just check this out!
This game was developed by Bioware! Do you know Bioware is founded by a pair of doctors?
Doctors and game developers? No way!
It's true! Dr. Greg Seschuk is the president, and Dr. Ray Musica is the CEO of the studio.
Did these guys make the game themselves? It would take a pair of real mathletes like you to do that.
No, they have a handheld group do that for them. The handheld group is comprised of several departments.
Such as?
Where there's the production department, Mark Duria was the project director, Durian Keegan was the associate producer, and Steve Liam as the assistant producer.
Okay, who else? I'm out of here. Okay, that was actually kind of funny, not gonna lie. I never thought I'd see Sonic and Tails teaching me about the origins of Bioware. Oh, look, a question mark! Yeah, nice try, game. We all know you're not getting a sequel. But wait, there's more! Replay the game with your powerful Sonic, keep your elite abilities, pick up all the rings you missed, get new trail eggs to hatch, restarting the game in 20 seconds! I'm sorry, what? That sounds terrible! Okay, I'm done with this game. Wow, I cannot believe it ended like that. All that hard work, and the game just decided to reset all your progress. It's freaking stupid. I mean, wait, what's happening here? No, don't! Hey, what's up everybody? I'm SuperSonicJB.